Welcome to Concrete Block, your go-to source for in-depth analysis and unbiased reporting on the day's most significant stories. I'm your host, Walter. Today we're starting with a story that has sparked widespread outrage and discussion globally, particularly in Iran. The Iranian president, Masoud Pezeshkian, has sacked one of his deputies, Shahram Dabiri, for taking a lavish trip to Antarctica during the Persian New Year. Nowruz. This move comes at a time when Iran is facing significant economic challenges, including high inflation and unemployment rates. According to recent data, Iran's annual inflation rate stands at 29.5%, while its unemployment rate was 8.4% as of October last year. These economic pressures have led to increased scrutiny of government officials' actions and spending. The trip in question involved Dabiri and his wife traveling on the MV Plantius to Antarctica, with the expedition costing upwards of $6,685. While Dabiri reportedly financed the trip himself, the Iranian president has emphasized that such lavish travels by government officials are indefensible given the current economic climate. President Pezeshkian's decision reflects a commitment to simplicity and accountability within his administration. It also underscores the importance of aligning personal actions with public responsibilities, especially during times of economic hardship. This story raises important questions about the role of government officials in setting examples for their citizens, particularly in countries facing economic sanctions and internal pressures. The reaction from the Iranian public and media has been swift, with many praising President Pezeshkian's decision as a step towards greater accountability within the government. As we delve deeper into this story and its implications, it's crucial to consider the broader context of Iran's economic situation and the impact of international sanctions on its economy. The country's support for certain groups has led to its inclusion in various sanction lists by Western countries, further complicating its economic landscape. We'll continue to follow this developing story and provide updates as more information becomes available. For now, it serves as a poignant reminder of the challenges faced by governments worldwide in balancing personal freedoms with public responsibilities, especially in times of economic stress. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're diving into the second part of our show, where we explore some of the most pressing global news stories. Today, we're taking a closer look at the recent tariffs imposed by the U.S. government on various countries around the world. Now, you might have heard that the U.S. has announced new tariffs on imports from several nations, including Kazakhstan, Ukraine, and many others. But what's interesting is that some countries, like Russia, seem to be exempt from these tariffs. Yes, you heard that right, despite being under sanctions. Russia is not on the list of countries facing new tariffs. So, what's behind this decision? Is it a sign of improving relations between the U.S. and Russia, or is there another explanation? According to experts, the move could be seen as a political signal from the Trump administration, indicating that they're open to dialogue with Moscow. But others argue that it doesn't make economic sense, given the significant trade volumes between the two countries. It's worth noting that trade between the U.S. and Russia has decreased significantly since the start of the Ukraine conflict, from around $36 billion in 2021 to just $3.5 billion in 2024. However, Russia still exports strategic goods like fertilizers and inorganic chemicals to the U.S., which could be an important factor in the decision-making process. Meanwhile, other countries like Ukraine are facing tariffs of up to 10% on their imports to the U.S., despite having a lower trade volume with the country. It's a complex situation, and we'll continue to monitor it closely to see how it develops. As we explore this story further, we want to hear from you, our listeners. What do you think is behind the U.S. decision to exempt Russia from these tariffs? Do you think it's a smart move, or could it have unintended consequences? Share your thoughts with us on social media using the hashtag #ConcreteBlock. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Concrete Block. Good evening and welcome back to Concrete Block. I'm your host, Walter Doherty Day. As we wrap up today's show, we're going to dive into the latest developments in Washington, D.C., where lawmakers are working on a sweeping budget plan that could have significant implications for the country. The Republican-led Senate has approved a revised framework for a budget resolution, which is a critical step towards finalizing a multi-trillion-dollar plan to address defense, energy, immigration, and tax policy. The plan, which was approved in a 51-48 vote early Saturday morning, would extend the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act passed in 2017 under President Trump's first term. Now, this is a complex issue, and we want to break it down for you in a fair and balanced way. On one hand, proponents of the plan argue that extending the tax cuts will provide relief to millions of Americans and help stimulate economic growth. They also point out that the plan includes investments in border security, national defense, and energy security. On the other hand, critics argue that the plan would add trillions of dollars to the national debt and disproportionately benefit wealthy individuals and corporations. They also express concerns about the potential impact on Medicaid benefits and other social programs. It's worth noting that the House and Senate still need to pass identical versions of a budget resolution in order to move forward with reconciliation, which is a feature of the budget process that allows them to pass policies without needing Democratic support. However, there are already signs of trouble in the House over details of the Senate framework, particularly when it comes to paying for tax cuts. Senate Majority Leader John Thune has stated that the plan would direct both chambers to cut the deficit through spending cuts, but the Senate's proposed spending cuts are significantly lower than those proposed by the House. This could lead to a high-stakes clash between the two chambers over how deep to go on deficit reduction versus the cost of extending the Trump tax cuts. As we move forward, it's essential to keep in mind that this is a developing story, and there are many moving parts involved. We'll continue to follow the developments and provide you with updates as more information becomes available. In conclusion, the budget plan proposed by Senate Republicans has sparked intense debate and raises important questions about the country's economic future. As always, we encourage our listeners to stay informed, engage in respectful dialogue, and hold their elected officials accountable for the decisions they make. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay informed. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay informed.